Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Animal Magnetism, exploring animal care for creatures great and small, conservation and preservation in today's world. Find out what a single voice can do to make a difference in the lives of animals. Animal Magnetism with Carolyn Hennesy starts right now on UBN Radio.
Welcome, animal lovers. You know, I hear that intro and I go, a single voice. I am surrounded by so many fabulous women in this studio right now. It is multiple voices talking about animal preservation, conservation, love, training. Welcome, everybody. I am joined today by my fabulous co-host, Miss Trish Alaski. Also a preservationist, rescuer, foster parent of dogs, and now a full-fledged. She's got a Westie that's the cutest thing in the entire world. Trish, say hello to everybody, please.
Hello, everybody.
And I am also joined. What a fabulous show we've got today. I'm joined by two remarkable women, Camille Licate and Charla Hall, and we're going to start with Camille.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, what's really interesting is that I know you as an actress, but a go-getter of an actress. You are not one to sit back and do anything. And how I met you, Camille, we both actually shelled out some dollars and flew ourselves up to Ashland, Oregon.
That's right.
To audition, not even to actually. I mean, we didn't know if we were going to be in the film. To audition for the film Conversations with God. And I believe we actually got.
We met at the airport.
We met at the airport. We
at
shared
the airport.
A taxi, and then it was love, and it was love in the taxi.
Yeah,
it
and
was
I had a hotel room at the actual venue where the audition.
I didn't.
Yeah, and you didn't.
And I stayed with you.
I said, "Come stay with me."
So I know from that. God bless you. I was thinking back on those days. So I know from that your dedication to anything that you do is serious, and you have found an amazing book. So because you're not only an actress, you were a dancer.
Yes, ballet, modern.
You were an anthropologist. You got a degree in anthropology.
A minor in anthropology, correct.
Right.
So I worked at the Natural History Museum in New York City for about 3 years, and then went down to St. Catherine's Island, where I did archaeological work with the museum. When I ended my stay at the museum as an employee, I was still invited down to the island and ended up tagging along with the endangered sea turtle program that's down there for a couple summers. Just when I was down there for a couple weeks, I would go and help dig baby turtles out of the sand and release them into the ocean.
I've always been they got it to where they needed to go.
They got a good start. A good start to their lives.
Because one of the questions I was going to ask you, just to sort of start this off, before we talk about Bulu African Wonder Dog, is how your heart became a conservationist heart. How you became I so attached.
I really feel like I was born with it. When I was little, I used to pick worms up off the sidewalk when it rained.
Now you got me beat. You got me beat right there.
I love the creepy crawlies. It doesn't matter what it is. I was always one, Mom, I found this bird. Let's help it. So I think it's always been a part of who I am. As I got older and I saw what was being done to our world and our planet and the animals, I decided to take action and be the voice for animals that did not have a voice.
Right,
Simply because I believe we share this planet. We are not humans and conquerors, and this is ours, and we will build everything and cut down every tree.
Yes,
I believe we
and
share
eradicate what we can't
exactly.
use and abuse. That's interesting. Your love of animals started. And so you started at a very early age, and so anthropology was kind of a very interesting sort of fit until it wasn't anymore.
Anthropology to me was I've always been very enthralled with Native American culture, and that's kind of how the ball started rolling with anthropology. And if you think about Native Americans, what did they always do, and hopefully still do? They respect the earth.
And they taught us. Absolutely. They didn't kill something, but that they used it all. There was nothing extraneous.
No waste. And so I really honor that culture and that mindset of if we are killing an animal, we are honoring it by that, and we are using, like you said, every single part of it.
The tagline for this show is it's how we treat what we eat, how we care for what we wear. Because I would like to think that we have a wonderful vegan teas, and we had a vegan chef on the last show that we did. But the show is all about living in the real world. So I am very realistic that really in my lifetime, I don't think we are going to stop eating meat. I don't think we're going to stop wearing leather. I would hope we stop wearing fur, but I don't actually see that as happening, because there's 7 billion people on this planet, and I would love for this show to reach all of them, but I don't think it will. So I totally understand. It's how we care for, love, and respect the animals that are in our care for whatever purpose.
Right.
So you, with your conservationist mindset, you found a book.
Yes.
Written by Dick Houston.
Yes.
Who is himself, he lives in Africa and runs safaris, and he's also a wonderful preservationist and conservationist, and he's has that wonderful heart. So you found this book. Tell us about Bulu African Wonder Dog, how you found it, and why, out of all the stories, because everything goes viral now.
Right.
So you see all the stories of animals, they bond together, species that weren't necessarily meant to be together, and they bond with humans, and they have these wonderful lives. Why this story really spoke to you?
Well, Bulu is an extraordinary true story that started in Zambia, Africa. It's about a dog, a misfit dog, who was an orphan, who was adopted by two remarkable individuals, Steve and Anatolin.
He was the runt of the litter.
He was the runt of the litter,
right.
Correct. They thought, he was kind of sleepy when they adopted him. They thought, will he even make it? Steve and Anatolin are two ex-detectives from Britain who moved to Zambia to open an education center, a wildlife education center for the village children in Zambia. They eventually had a wildlife refuge as well. They are still there to this day. And Bulu was their adoptive dog. Bulu's story is so extraordinary to me because he saw no boundaries. This dog was dodged the jaws of a crocodile. He was attacked by a cobra and survived.
Right.
He was attacked by a lion and survived. And he persevered. He saw no race. He saw there was no divide with what he saw. He just saw the person or the animal. He fostered the orphaned animals naturally.
That's the really interesting thing, because so many animals that have been caught in the bush, in the wild, they had been orphaned. They're
by snares and poachers.
Exactly. Trapped for bushmeat, which to me is the most foul thing I can even think of. He took all of these orphaned animals, these babies, or sometimes not babies, would come to Steve and Anna's sanctuary, what they were trying to create, and he would just foster them.
Yeah, naturally. They never put him in with the animals. He just naturally fostered them. And one of the most remarkable stories is Steve and Anna were brought a baby elephant, and you may know this when poachers are killing elephants in Africa at a rapid rate.
About 100 a day.
Yeah. So much
that's the average.
We are taking action now, but the time is now to save the African elephant.
We're gonna talk about exactly what you're doing.
So when Steve and Anna brought they received this baby elephant, Bulu just naturally stayed with it. You can't leave a baby elephant alone. No. It will die. It needs to bond. And Bulu just naturally stayed by its pen and made sure it was okay. So I feel this particular dog and this particular story really shows us that in action and with perseverance, we can overcome the greatest atrocities.
And there are no boundaries.
There are no boundaries.
Absolutely
to him,
not.
he just kept going.
That's right.
Crocodile, check. Lion, check. And I think for us, I know Bulu inspires me every day to get out there and say, hey, I have the rights to this book. Anyone out there that can help me make it into a major feature film? Leonardo DiCaprio, are you listening?
We are personally going to actually go after Leonardo DiCaprio to be in this book. Now, how did you? Was it just some light reading that you found? How did you find this book?
It was kind of interesting, and I think we all meet these passages in our lives where I was in a very dark place. I didn't know what direction to go in. I as you've mentioned, I am an actor, but that wasn't really fulfilling all of me. And Dick Houston, a remarkable man and conservationist, had sent my mother the copy of Bulu African Wonder Dog.
Why? Why your mother? Why?
Because my mom used to be a school teacher, and Dick would come in and talk to her classroom about elephants and about preservation. So they were family friends.
There's the connection.
So I picked it up off, my mom had sent it to me.
Sure.
And it kind of was sitting on my shelf. And I remember it was a dark, like rainy January night in California. And I picked it up and I didn't put it down until 3 a.m. And I closed the book, having laughed, cried, been through Bulu's adventures with him, learned so much. And I thought, I wonder if anybody has the option on this book. Maybe this is my true calling in this lifetime, is to take this book from page to screen. So I got in touch with Dick's publicist, and one thing led to another, and here I am with the rights, and I've been pitching the story throughout Hollywood.
How long have you been doing that?
A little over 2 years now.
That's actually, in terms of pitching things and getting things into turnaround, that's short. That's a short period of time. And you just went to Pitch Fest, and you've got some very interesting interest.
I have
in
some
it.
leads. I do.
Yeah,
I have some leads. I feel like, again, like I said, the time is now, and there are so many people out there like yourself that are making the people that are willing to listen.
And yes, stand up and take notice. And you now what I love is that he thwarts the poachers. Mm-hmm. Tell us some more about what you know about what's going on in Africa with elephant poaching.
Well, it's very grim. If anybody,
but people have to.
They have to know. The bottom line is this: African elephants have tusks, and those tusks are made of ivory. Mm-hmm. And ivory is a very hot commodity in a lot of Asian countries right now because it denotes wealth. Yeah. So having a carving, ironically, sometimes of an elephant,
having a little tchotchke on your mantelpiece
trinket
is very important. Yes.
And with the rise of middle class in Asia, particularly China, everybody wants a piece of this. So poachers are going in illegally into all parts of Africa, even into some national parks, and they are slaughtering these beautiful, beautiful herd animals that are so familial and so bonded with one another.
And so smart. One of the 4 smartest animals on the planet.
Correct.
They have, their intelligence is just approaches human intelligence in terms of their problem solving.
They mourn their dead.
Their familial aspect, absolutely. The fact that they will trek miles to mourn their dead and to mourn the humans who have cared for them. It's astonishing.
They're remarkable. And this is not only happening to the elephant. A shout out to the rhino, the tiger. I mean,
oh my gosh, the leopards.
Yes.
The cheetahs.
Exactly.
You name it.
The sharks.
For anything, and I don't know what rock I've been living under, but the idea of bush meat. I know about rhinoceros horns because that's an aphrodisiac. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It does not cure cancer.
What in heaven's name? This is, you just want to shake people and say, "Are you serious? You need a tchotchke, you need an ivory tchotchke on your mantelpiece to make you feel better about yourself
and in some
cases,
it's considered they'll make religious statues. Ivory is revered as something that's very religious.
Well, I'm going to call anyone I know in Italy and have them start shipping marble because ivory just is that's but
there
the
are
idea
people
of bushmeat. I mean,
yes.
what in
and
heaven's
the thing with bushmeat is they're setting the snares for smaller game, but that an elephant or a tiger, they're not differentiating between there's a snare there for an antelope, I better not step there.
Exactly.
So that is a big issue as well. Like I said, the statistics are very grim. If anybody wants to read more, National Geographic's October 2012 has a really
you brought a copy of it
significant article called Blood Ivory.
Blood Ivory.
I would not open that right now, Carolyn.
I'm not going to open it right now.
It took me a couple weeks to read through.
Right. You'll know it when you see it, listeners. It's got some pretty horrific photographs. But I strongly advise everyone to pick a copy of this up because the more you know, the better armed you are. And let me ask you a question because I actually have had this experience, and it changed my life. In fact, Trish can tell you that it changed my life. I went to Thailand and Cambodia last Thanksgiving, and met an elephant.
Oh wow!
Have you ever met an elephant?
I have met a couple elephants.
Yes. Okay.
It's an amazing experience.
It changes your DNA. Feeling the trunk sort of move over you, and because what they're doing is they're sussing you out. They're saying, "Can I trust you? Are you a good person? What are you? Who are you? What's the quality of your heart?" And it was just, Trish can tell you.
It changed her life. I went out to dinner with her after you had just gotten home from Indonesia. Thailand.
And
she was trying to.
I was trying to speak.
She was trying to speak, and she couldn't. She was beside herself by what she saw.
If everyone could meet an elephant, this world would be a different place.
Yes.
I saw a changed woman.
True. And I feel like that's the goal. Stephen Anatole, Bulu has passed on. He's in a far, far better place.
A far better place. He's roaming with the elephants.
I truly feel like, especially when I'm doing this work, that his spirit fuels me. You know, I can feel him putting me in front of the right people in the right places. But Stephen Anatole are still in Zambia. They are running the Chip and Bailey Wildlife Education Center.
Tell us a little bit about that if you can.
They're remarkable individuals. Basically, the Education Center services school children, village children that come, and they're teaching them about conservation. There are computers set up, television stations where they can learn. They're going out into the bush. They're learning about their world, because a lot of these children, and Dick writes about this in the book, Blue African Wonder Dog, some of them had never ventured from their village. They had never seen a giraffe or an elephant or the landscape beyond their village. So Steve and Anna are still there working diligently to educate these future generations, which, as you and I know, are the generations that that are going to save the planet.
As many of the future generations that we can get to bond with animals, that's how many animals I believe we will save.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now tell us just a little bit, we just have a moment, just tell us about your work with the California Wildlife Center.
Well, this is my local work, the work that I can do here in Southern California. The California Wildlife Center is located in Calabasas. We take in indigenous animals from Southern California, coyotes, skunks, any type of raptors, which is owls, red-tailed hawks.
Not from the Steven Spielberg film.
No,
that is not the raptor we are discussing.
No, not that raptor. Definitely not yet. Anyway, our most recent endeavor was, kind of ironically, taking the overflow of baby elephant seals. There was a high rate of infant mortality in sea lions and elephant seals this season, and we became the overflow. So I have recently become a elephant seal volunteer.
Wonderful.
So they're doing remarkable work, and if you find a baby bird, if you find a baby squirrel, call the center. Be educated about
Excuse me, did we just find a baby bird?
We did actually.
Did you find a baby bird?
Right
we have a call in.
Yes, we have a call in. Would you like to answer it?
I think I would, and then we'll tell the bird story. Okay. Hello.
Hello, you're on air. Will you be in? Hello?
I'm sorry?
Hello. You're on. Tell me who you are.
My name is Emily Licate, and I'm trying to access your phone, your radio show online, and I can't do it.
Well, Emily, first of all, hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hello.
Hi, Camille's mother.
You're on air.
You're actually on air now, my dear.
Oh, my goodness, how wonderful. Well, I hope I encourage a lot of people to get online. I seem to be having a little bit of difficulty, but I'm so excited to hear your show, Carolyn. I heard you're a great gal.
Well, I am a great gal.
I know.
That's number one. That's the first thing you need to know. I'm a great gal. But let me just give you the link. It's www.ubnradio.com.
Okay. And that's now, Carolyn. I did do that. And I'm getting some kind of a YouTube song, but I don't want to take your time, so I'll keep working.
Do you want to just maybe chat for a second with your daughter, considering you're 3,000 miles away? Just say
sure.
Hi, Mom. Okay, that was good.
Hi, Cam. How's it going? Are we teaching a lot about the elephant?
Yes.
She's doing a brilliant job, Mom.
I believe Mom is on the wrong channel. You have to click channel 1.
Go click channel 1, Mom.
Channel 1.
Okay.
Channel
well,
1,
Mom will go back and do that, but just know that we're all passionate here in Ohio about saving the African elephant. And I don't know because I haven't heard the show so far, but Dick Houston's book is wonderful. And it brings about a lot of awareness for children, especially.
Mom, you just made the show. You just made the show.
Thanks,
God
Mom.
bless, Mom. Thanks for calling in, and turn on channel 1.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I love that. That was awesome. Trish and I actually found we were racing out of the house this morning. She came over to the house, and we drove together, and my cat Buster the Wonder Cat had brought a little baby bird into the house.
Oh, baby
bird.
Yes.
So we put it in a container, in a large container with some water, and we're going to have to go home and do a little checking.
We'll talk about that after the show.
We will.
We will talk about that.
So let me just tell everybody, you've got everyone for more information on Bulu African Wonder Dog. It's www.buluafricanwonderdog, one word altogether.com. And let's see, the California Wildlife Center, www.cawildlife.org. You've got so much else to tell us. We're going to have you. Will you come back? Will you
I
come back on
would
the show?
love to come back. And if anybody wants to speak to me directly, they can go just Camille Licate at gmail.com.
And we are going to have all of your information, all the information that I just said on air. We're going to have that on the Animal Magnetism page on UBN Radio. So everybody check that out. Camille, thank you so much. We're going to have you back
again.
again.
It's my pleasure. Thank
Wonderful.
you so much.
All right. Okay. This is going to be and become one of the best segments of the show. I can just feel it. It's already one of my favorites, and this is the first one. So this is our maiden voyage. We talk a lot on this show and on Carolyn Hennesy's Animal Magnetism Facebook page about what you can do to join in the preservation and conservation movement. But believe me when I say, I know that times are tough financially, and there are so many other things in everyone's day that demand your time and attention and money. But here's something you can do to further the animal protection cause. You can eat a vegan meal, or eat vegan for one day or maybe 1 week. Trust me, nothing horrible is going to happen. It will only result in positive benefits. It's kind of like your own personal animal protection crusade. And here with me, very exciting, vegan chef, actress extraordinaire, and general Renaissance woman, Maureen Flanagan, is going to share with us some delicious, simple to make, and completely vegan recipes. You're going to find a new one after each show on my Animal Magnetism webpage. That's www.ubnradio.com. But right now, she's going to tempt us, because these segments are what I am going to call the vegan tease. So take it away, Maureen.
All right. I hope to tease you all out there. Let's see. How about an afternoon shake me up?
How about it?
I often get in the lulls around tea time, 3 or 4 o'clock, and sometimes coffee's just not the thing, because I'm getting to that point where coffee will just keep me up.
Sure.
Until midnight. So my afternoon shake me up is basically young coconut water, and cinnamon, flax seeds, chia seeds, which are known to be very help you with energy, right, and delicious. And they kind of can get a pudding consistency if you let them sit a little bit, like really delicious. And a little vanilla.
So this is like the consistency of a shake or a smoothie.
It's a little smoothie.
Nice.
Yes. And it's got a lot of protein. Protein is in flax seeds. It's in coconut, of course, and chia seeds. A lot of people think protein can only come from animal meat. That's a misconception.
That's a myth. That's
a
myth.
Big
old myth.
Yeah, it's one type of protein.
Right.
There are a whole chain of amino acids that make protein.
All right, listeners, you heard it here first. Afternoon Shake Me Up. Go and find that recipe. You know where to go.
Yum.
I know you know. Goodbye. Okay, and now, again, I said at the start of the show that I'm surrounded by so many fabulous women. We have an amazing woman as our next guest, and I think you will understand what I mean when I say this, is that I wish you didn't have to be on this show. And I'm going to extrapolate that and say, I wish that there was no reason for this show. I wish this show didn't have to exist. I wish that everybody just lived in beautiful concert and harmony with everything, with all animals, great and small. But we do have to have you on this show. There is a need for this show, and I'm so glad you are on it, Miss Charla Hall. You are a proud member of the NKLA, No Kill Los Angeles Coalition, whose main goal is to make Los Angeles a no-kill city. Oh, bravo. And you are also a dedicated volunteer for a very specific organization, Boston Buddies. You are based out of Southern California, and you are dedicated to the rescue and rehoming of Boston Terriers or Boston Terrier mixes.
I am very familiar already with the Boston Buddies organization. My girlfriend, Misty Lee.
Shout out to Misty Lee.
She's an amazing volunteer for Boston Buddies. She's been doing it for a couple of years now, and she has taken me a couple of times to do a couple of home checks, and also at one point took me to a shelter to literally save the life of a little Boston Buddy named Betsy. So I know the way that it all works. You people are selfless. You are angels. You are heroes, and we are very, very, very proud to have you here today. I have one question for you.
I actually have a lot, but she's going to lead off.
My question is why? Why do you dedicate so much of your time and energy to saving these animals?
Well, I think that's a wonderful question, Trish. But first of all, let me thank both you and Carolyn for inviting Boston Buddies to be here today and to share our story of rescue, but also to share the story I'm going to talk about with
Absolutely.
Henry.
Yes, yeah.
But back to your question about why Boston Buddies. First of all, everyone affiliated with Boston Buddies is an animal lover, including me. I've been an animal lover since I was small, always dragging home the abandoned kittens and injured birds.
Me too.
So we all love animals, but Boston Buddies are near and dear to our hearts. We've all had a Boston Buddy or a Boston Terrier in our life, or have several Boston Terriers in our lives, like I do right now. And we just have a special affection for the breed. And that doesn't mean that we don't have a special affection for all other animals and all other dogs. But we banded together to support this particular breed because we're very familiar with the breed characteristics and the medical issues regarding this breed.
Are there certain interesting, unique medical issues to the Boston Terrier?
Eyeballs.
I think that you can find unique medical issues to almost every type of breed. With Boston Terriers have little pushy faces and buggy eyes, and they have traditionally a lot of eye problems.
Got it.
Their pushy noses give them a lot of breathing difficulty.
Okay.
And especially when we have a Boston that is in need of surgery, you have to be very delicate with the anesthesia that you give Bostons and other push-faced dogs like pugs, bulldogs.
Also, they can't travel via air the way that a normal dog could. Is that true?
No, I think most airlines won't allow them to travel the way that normal dogs will because of the breathing problems that they have. They also become extremely overheated very quickly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I personally rescued a Boston Terrier last year that another rescue picked up from a shelter and tried to transport him during the heat of the summer, and he got heat stroke. And we were called in to go help Diesel out and get him to our vet. Diesel. So, and it was just because they weren't familiar with the breed characteristics.
Right.
So there is an advantage to having a rescue group that specializes in a certain type of breed for that reason. And the other advantage is that if a person decides that they want to adopt a particular breed, they know that they can go to that particular website and have a much greater chance of finding the type of dog they're interested in rescuing.
And usually that dog, of course, and that dog will be a rescue. So they're getting what they want, and they're doing something.
And they're doing something good for
wonderful.
animals.
How long has Boston Buddies been in existence?
Boston Buddies was actually organized back in 2003. There was a small group of volunteers that were Boston lovers, and they happened to notice that more and more of these little black and white tuxedo dogs were showing up in shelters. And they started an informal effort to pull the dogs from shelters and rehome the dogs. But that grew into a very organized effort, and they got their 501c3 status in 2003. And they're very organized, very structured now. We have charter members. We have 2 amazing directors who just do phenomenal work. And we have what I consider to be a very well-organized and very reputable rescue operation.
And you were there from the beginning. You were one of the original 7.
Well, I'm actually one of the newbies. I'm new.
My facts are incorrect.
Yeah, no, I'm a charter member, but I wasn't one of the original founding members. I got involved with Boston Buddies when I went to rescue my 5-year-old Boston Terrier, and I was so impressed with their professionalism and just the thorough dedication that they have to each and every one of their dogs. They bring in a dog from a shelter, and that dog is immediately taken to a vet and given a complete physical. Any medical needs that dog has are addressed right then and there. They do a complete personality assessment of the dog, and then they try to match that dog to a home that's good for that dog's temperament. And the actual application process is quite involved. It's a five-page application.
Fantastic.
We send out volunteers to do complete home checks. We thoroughly vet our homes because we feel that the dogs that come into rescue have already been subjected to so much stress and trauma that we want to make sure that they aren't bounced around any further. We really want to do everything to ensure that they're in a forever home.
If anyone wants to know more about Boston Buddies, please go to http:// bostonbuddies.org. I guess, or you could go to www.bostonbuddies.
That's probably a better
Yes,
plan.
Yes,
that is.
yes.
Absolutely. You can also find us on Facebook.
Sure.
We have over 3,800 Facebook followers. So.
I am one of them. I am a proud follower.
Good for you, Trish.
Yes, man.
Well, we've already talked about who is fit to adopt them and the lengthy application. But you are here for a very specific reason. We heard about you and your efforts with regard to a Boston Terrier named Henry. And this story is about 3 weeks old, and I'm very glad to be able to continue to put it out in front of the listening audience, because as of this date, the perpetrator of what we are going to talk about has not been caught yet. So, Charlotte, tell us about Henry and what happened to Henry, and, well, why you were interviewed on television, for heaven's sake.
Well, Henry was a dog that was brought into the Baldwin Park shelter on Wednesday, May 29th. And when he was brought into the shelter, he was dropped off as a stray, and the shelter identified him as having serious medical needs. We were told the next day, Boston Buddies was actually called, and we were asked to come pick up Henry to provide medical care for him. We were told he had a serious skin condition. And we've seen that before. Mange is very common with our dogs. So I was the one who was closest to Henry at the time. I got the emergency phone call, and I was asked to get to the Baldwin Park shelter in less than 30 minutes, or Henry would be euthanized. So hopped in the car, drove on the freeway as quickly as I could to get there.
How long had they had him before they called you?
They had Henry less than 24 hours. He was dropped off the previous evening after hours. And to the shelter's credit, they did take him to a vet who clearly identified that they didn't have the veterinary facilities to take care of Henry. So we were called the next day.
Was it the shelter that called Boston Buddies?
Or the vet that called Boston Buddies?
No, it was the shelter. It was the shelter.
But from what I'm given to understand, Henry was given no pain medication. Is that correct?
You know, I believe that he was given pain medication.
Okay. All right.
I don't know that any amount of pain medication could have helped Henry at that point.
Right,
Henry,
because it wasn't mange.
It was not mange. It was clearly not mange. And to the shelter's credit, they held on to Henry a little bit longer than they possibly could have, because they found that he was microchipped. And any time a dog comes into the shelter with a microchip, the shelter is required by law to make an effort to contact the owner. After they did the research on the microchip, they found that even though Henry was microchipped, his microchip had never been registered. So there was a little bit of delay because they were required to try to contact the owner. But they contacted us as soon as they could, and like I say, I went out there as quickly as I could. And I was met at the shelter by a volunteer, which is really uncommon when you go pull an animal from a shelter, and I thought, this is interesting. But
why is it uncommon? Usually you are met with by...
No one. Oh. You go up to the front counter and you say, I'm here to pick up this dog, and you're told, go to this area to pick up the dog. But this was a shelter volunteer who was specifically waiting for me. And, you know, I give this woman so much credit. She stood by Henry's side the entire afternoon until I got there. A wonderful woman by the name of Sherry. And I haven't had a chance to follow up with her and thank her, but she was there for Henry. And when she met me, she said, I've been waiting here for you. I want to prepare you for this. And I've seen a lot of horrible cases in rescue. We've seen dogs who are completely hairless with mange. I've seen dogs with open ulcers and bleeding. And so I said, okay, I think I'm going to be fine. And she said, you've never seen anything like this before. And so I knew that it was going to be bad. And when she walked me to the back and pulled Henry out of the cage, it literally brought me to tears. I have a hard time even talking about it
Go
today.
for it. Do it. No, good. Listen, look at me. Look at me.
It was.
My God.
I'll tell you what. Trish,
you take over.
I'm not going to take over, but I will add that Missy had sent me over the information and that was posted on Facebook with photos, and I have never been more disgusted and more
distraught.
In my entire life.
Because what had happened to Henry? What were you looking at?
Henry had oozing sores and raw skin over 75 to 80% of his body. Some of the ulcerations were so deep that they had gone into his muscle, and there were gaps and holes in some of his muscle
And he had lost an eye as well, right?
He hadn't lost the eye, but his eye was severely ulcerated. Our vet said that the eye would have ruptured by the end of the night. He was in incredible pain.
And this is because?
This is because somebody abused this poor dog. Somebody.
Well, let's just get to the heart of it. Somebody poured somebody poured something flammable on this dog and lit it on fire.
That is our vet's assumption. When I brought Henry to our vet, and she's seen many, many cases of dermatitis and mange, she said, this is not dermatitis or mange. This is a chemical burn of some sort. And it had permeated into Henry's muscles. It was...
So it wasn't necessarily that he had been burned by it, lit on fire, but the chemical itself is what burned him.
It was a chemical burn. It wasn't a fire burn.
It wasn't a fire burn.
No.
Now,
No.
okay, then yes, it is bad enough, but I was incorrect in saying that. But it was a chemical burn. So somebody had poured acid.
Some type of caustic material that was eating away his skin and actually eating away at his muscles at that point. And not only that, but his eyes were ulcered. We don't know what caused the ulcerations in his eyes. He was severely emaciated.
Well, I saw photographs of his face, and obviously some of this flammable, this liquid, this caustic liquid, got onto his face as well.
Oh, it was on his face as well.
Head to tail.
It was head to tail.
And we don't know how long he was on the streets before he was found this way.
We have no idea.
Okay.
We have no idea. We wrapped, the volunteer at the shelter helped me wrap Henry in a blanket. His temperature was also plummeting. He had very low body temperature. He was in shock at that time.
Of course.
And I always carry extra blankets in my car. I wrapped him in blankets. So the entire hour-and-a-half ride to our vet, I had Henry wrapped in blankets in the passenger seat next to me. And I just kept stroking the small little spot of fur right in between his eyes, which was one of the few places on his head that wasn't raw. And he whimpered the entire hour-and-a-half ride to the vet. So as soon as we got him there, they rushed him in. Our vet was waiting for us, rushed him in, and as soon as we unwrapped him,
there was no way.
Our veterinarian said, there's no way. We have to stop his suffering immediately.
Absolutely.
And Boston Buddies, to their credit, is known for doing anything that we can possibly do to save any dog.
Mm-hmm.
If there was anything that could have been done for Henry, we would have done everything.
Course.
And our vet knows that. Our vet would have gone above and beyond, and she just felt that his suffering was so intense there was nothing we could do for him at
sometimes
that
it
time.
is many times it is simply the most kind. It is the noble thing to do.
It is.
To
And
put the dog.
I felt badly about transporting him to our vet, but I know that at our vet I held him in my arms, I caressed him, I told him that he was a wonderful dog and he didn't deserve this, and I know that he was in a much better place to be taken care of than he would have been at the shelter. They don't have the capability to do that. So Henry knew that he was loved. Henry knew that someone cared about him, and we promised him, the vet included, that we would find justice for him.
And that's exactly what you're doing.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
The next day, after we all curled up into fetal positions and cried for
I'm just a wreck. Everyone in the studio is a freaking wreck right now.
We're all crying.
But we felt that Henry deserved justice. We felt that we needed to do something.
Absolutely right. So tell me, what is Boston Buddies doing? What is the word that has gone out?
Well, initially, the very next day, we put together a flyer and put out on Facebook that we were personally offering a $1,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest and prosecution of Henry's abuser. Within 3 days, we had $5,000 in donations that were coming in from all over the country.
And people can still donate if they go to the Boston Buddy website. Okay.
BostonBuddies.org.
BostonBuddies.org.
Right. So we made flyers, and we went back to the neighborhood where we knew Henry came from. And we walked the neighborhood that Saturday morning.
Which is not a safe neighborhood, by the way.
No, it was not a safe neighborhood at all. We were warned about going into the neighborhood, but we felt that we needed to do that for Henry. So a group of Boston Buddies volunteers met at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we distributed over 300 flyers in the neighborhood.
Did you go home to home, or did you tack them up on poles?
We didn't go door to door,
right.
But there were plenty of people out on the street that morning with yard sales and things going on. So we spoke to everyone who was out on the street. We tacked up flyers on telephone poles. We went to local neighborhood markets, gas stations, everywhere that we could, laundromats, and we put the flyers all around there. So we haven't, at this point, received any credible leads, but we're still hoping to publicize this, and we're hoping that someone out there comes forward and gives us information so that we can lead to...
Are the police working on this as well?
Yes, actually, this case has been assigned to an officer with the major case unit with the LA County Department of Animal Services, and they are actively pursuing this investigation right now.
You said something very interesting. I believe in your KTLA interview, and it's so true. The person who could do this, as far as I'm concerned, does not need to take up any more space on this planet. But the person who could do this could easily progress from small animals to human beings.
Oh, easily. This person is a danger to this community, to not only the animals in the community,
Right.
but we feel that this person is a danger to everyone who lives in this community. So not only do we want justice for Henry, but we want to get this person off the streets so that they can't do this to another small animal or perhaps progress to hurting.
If anyone out there
else.
knows, if anyone out there who is listening has any information on that will lead to the arrest and conviction of Henry's abuser, because let's face it, Henry is probably just one. He's just one of many that get this kind of treatment. I've never heard of anybody pouring caustic fluids on an animal. Well, actually, I have, but this case with its photographs is just so striking. It's so horrific. But you did such a good thing, and Sherry, who stood by him at the shelter. What angels you are.
Sherry was such a brave woman.
Well, you're a brave woman too, because you went down into a neighborhood that is not terribly safe, and you transported this dog, and you stood by him at the end. That's a blessing, and you know I'm a full believer in karma, and you just earned a spot, and the karmic fireball that's coming around for whoever, the person or persons that did this to Henry. I just don't want to be around when that strikes. But Henry is in a better place, I'm sure. I'm sure. Anything else for Miss Charla Hall, Miss Trish? While we have her, while we have this incredible
I guess we should
advocate.
we should just ask, how can people help? How can Facebook Boston Buddies Inc. Is the search for Facebook. Log on to there.
Right.
Become one of the 3,800 fans.
Like us on Facebook. You can also go to our website, www.bostonbuddies.org.
Do you want to talk about the Tea Party or the auction that you have going on right now to raise funds for?
We do. You know, Boston Buddies, like any rescue, is always working hard to get rescues or donations to support our rescue.
Sure.
And we have a online auction that is going on right now. We do several online auctions throughout the year, but if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see a link to our online auction. We also do once a year our annual Boston Buddies Tea Party.
I love that.
Which is wonderful to go to a tea party and see over 200 Boston Terriers, you know, all congregating. But it's a wonderful fundraiser, and it's a great, a great way to reach out to others in the community and show them how lovable and wonderful we think our dogs are.
Please like them on Facebook. Please click on bostonbuddies.org. Charla Hall, thank you so much for being here and making us.
Great.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, now we have come to the first installment of a great new segment of the show. We talk a lot on Animal Magnetism about preservation, conservation, protection, and training of the larger animals on this planet, but most of us who actually own, care for, and love animals have dogs, cats, other smaller domesticated pets. So now the fabulous Dr. Gray Stafford is here with Dr. Gray's Pet Tips, helpful hints for the highly evolved 21st century pet lover. Take it away, please, Dr. Gray.
Well, Carolyn, it's great to be with you. You know, one of my favorite pet tips is probably the most useful one I've ever given out, and I call it 4 on the floor.
4 on the
and
floor.
What that basically means is anytime we want to pay attention to our pets, especially our young puppies, we want to share with them toys and treats and attention and praise and all that good stuff that makes life interesting.
Right.
We want to make sure all 4 paws are touching the ground, which basically means they're either standing, they're sitting, or they're laying completely down on the ground. And the beautiful thing about this little criteria is you can share it with your kids, your family, your friends, your guests that come to the house, and very quickly your puppy and your dog will learn that all those good things come whenever my 4 paws are touching the ground. And what this does is it teaches your pet not to jump all over you and your guests, especially as you're heading out the door on your way from work or as you're welcoming family over for Thanksgiving or holiday dinner. So it's a really useful set of criteria, and it's simple for us to remember because, let's face it, they're 4-legged animals. Very often they have 4 on the floor.
Fantastic. Absolutely. And like my dogs and cats, they're running out in the dirt in the backyard, and, Mom comes over for Thanksgiving dinner, and we don't want Sluggo or Arbuckle or Liza Jane or Sophie Tucker jumping up on Mom and ruining her nice dress. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Gray. We'll talk at you next time.
Sounds good.
All right, now it's time for today's trivia question. And the first person to answer this, I believe it's in the chat room. Is that correct? Yes, the first person to answer in the chat room is going to get a copy of Dr. Gray Stafford's fabulous book on animal training for the 21st century, Zoomility.
That we have somewhere around here.
Yes, we do. We have it in a very safe spot. It's up high on a shelf. They're also going to get a bottle of Coragem spray, and Coragem is a wonder spray for any pet lover. Especially, it was formulated especially for dogs, cats, and horses to help regrow skin over areas that have no skin. So it's a wonderful, wonderful medical tool to have in your pet toolkit, and it's also great for people. And I happen to know Monty Roberts, who's one of the sponsors of Coragem. He works with animals so much, and he shows me his hands, and he goes, they're nice and clean. There are no sores or ruptures because he uses Coragem. So it's wonderful for pets and for humans. So here is today's trivia question: what is the oldest zoo in terms of actual buildings, actual structures, in the United States that is still in operation? The oldest zoo, actual buildings, structures, the actual physical zoo in the United States that is still in operation. Whoever answers that first.
Trick question.
Well, I don't know. Is it a trick question?
Kinda.
Maybe, kind of. Yeah, you're going to have to do your research. So now it's time for the hero of the show, and the hero of the show is Boston Buddies. For all of the wonderful work that they do, please go to their website, research. You can love them, you can like them on Facebook, donate to the cause, and just because you love Boston Buddies, hey, you can also love elephants. You can love every animal that's walking around on the planet. That is our show for today. I want to thank my fabulous co-host Tricia Lasky for jumping in here and talking when I was sitting here weeping. I was. Yes, and we're going to have to do this again, Miss Trish. You may just become the co-host permanento. I want to thank my fabulous guest Camille Licate. And please, everyone, when Bulu African Wonder Dog is made into a movie, I want everyone to be the first in line for that midnight screening. And I want to be in it, Camille.
You can be Anna.
Okay.
She could be
cast
Anna
you right now.
She could be Anna.
Well, I'm a little too old for Anna.
Oh.
Especially if Leonardo. But you know what? if Leonardo DiCaprio is playing Steve, I'll be Anna.
Someone in the chat room answered and asked. Their answer was Brooklyn Zoo.
That is not correct.
Ooh.
That is not correct. But I will say this: you're close.
Very close.
You're very close. And I also want to thank Charla Hall for coming and telling her this amazing story. People, love your animals, and just they are here to love us. So love them back. Thank you so much for everything you do, especially your work with Boston Buddies and especially your work with Henry. I want to thank all of the folks who make this show possible. My producers Andrea Compton and Steve Rohr. Bless you. You do the work, so I can just sit here and try and talk purty. Mm-hmm. I also want to thank Dr. Gray Stafford of the Wildlife World Zoo in Phoenix for his wonderful pet tips. That's going to become a fabulous new segment of the show. And Maureen Flanagan, vegan chef extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Fabulous. My wonderful board operator. I love you so much.
Thank you. And someone else answered. They asked Central Park Zoo.
Bingo, whoever that is.
Bingo.
Yes, we have it.
Have a winner.
Okay, we will get all of your information. Yay, because some people might have said the Philadelphia Zoo. The Philadelphia Zoo took out the charter first, but the Central Park Zoo actually opened they were the first one to open their doors. I also want to thank the handsomest man in programming, Tony Sweet, one of my other producers, and I know he's the handsomest man in programming because I get to look at him. I can see. Please join us again next time in 2 weeks for Animal Magnetism. Go to my Animal Magnetism Facebook page. It's called Carolyn Hennesy's Animal Magnetism, and you will find stories of support, some not so good stories, calls to action, what you can do, and there you have it. We will talk at you later. Bye-bye.
Something tells me it's all happening at the zoo. I do believe it. I do believe it's true.